It wakes you up in the morning, it plays your favorite music, and it connects you to the voices of people you care about. That little speaker in your smartphone, it's probably one of the hardest working pieces of tech you own. But have you ever really stopped to think about how it actually works? Well, today we're going to dive into this tiny marvel of engineering.
So just to give you a sense of scale, get this. The main speaker in your phone weighs about the same as a single dime, and it's roughly the same size. I mean, it is just ridiculously small for the massive job it has to do.
And that right there is the big question. How in the world does this tiny little object move enough air to fill a room with sound? I mean, it seems almost impossible, right? But the answer, well, it lies in some seriously clever physics.
To really understand the magic here, we've got to look inside. A smartphone speaker is built around 4 absolutely essential parts. And once you see how they all work together, the whole mystery just kind of falls into place.
So here are our key players. You've got the diaphragm, the voice coil, the magnet, and this thing called the spider. Let's walk through each one and see exactly how they team up to create sound. Now, of course, there are a few other little pieces that give it some structure. But believe me, the real action, the heart of the whole operation, happens with our 4 key components.
All right, let's start with the part that actually makes the sound you hear, the diaphragm. Its job is really simple, but it's absolutely crucial. It has to push air. That's it.
So the diaphragm is basically just a tiny, stiff sheet of plastic. And you have to remember, all sound is just vibrations traveling through the air. This little piece of plastic is what starts all of those vibrations.
So, when the diaphragm pushes forward, it shoves all the air particles in front of it, squishing them together. And that creates this little wave of high pressure. And then, when it snaps backward, it leaves behind this little vacuum, a low-pressure area where the air particles can spread out. This super fast cycle of high and low pressure is what our ears pick up as sound. And get this can happen thousands of times every single second. It's wild. Okay, so the diaphragm pushes the air. We get that. But what's pushing the diaphragm? This is where the real engine of the speaker comes into play. And that brings us to the electromagnetic heart of the whole thing, the voice coil and the magnet. These 2 parts work together to create all the force that drives the entire system. So you've got the voice coil, which is really just a tightly wound bundle of copper wire, and it's attached directly to that diaphragm we were talking about. And it sits right inside an incredibly strong permanent magnet. This isn't just any magnet. It's made of neodymium, a special material that's super powerful even when it's tiny.
Honestly, the best way to think about this whole setup is as a miniature motor. That's its entire job, to take electrical energy and turn it into physical movement.
So here's how that little motor works. Your phone sends an electrical signal, that's the music, to the voice coil. That current instantly creates a temporary magnetic field around the coil. And this new magnetic field starts pushing and pulling against the permanent magnet's field. That interaction forces the coil and the diaphragm that's attached to it to move back and forth, perfectly in time with the music.
So we have movement, which is great, but it has to be controlled. I mean, a wobbly, sloppy vibration would just sound like garbage, right? It'd be all distortion. And that's where our 4th and final component comes in, the spider.
Now, the spider acts almost exactly like the springs on a trampoline. It lets the diaphragm move up and down totally freely, but it stops it from wobbling from side to side. And just like a trampoline always bounces you back to the center, the spider is constantly pulling the diaphragm back to its starting position. This makes sure every single vibration is perfectly precise and clean.
Okay, so we've met all the individual players. Now let's watch the full symphony come together and just recap this entire incredible process from start to finish. So here we go. An electrical signal from your phone zaps the voice coil, creating a magnetic field. That field fights with the permanent magnet, pushing and pulling the coil and the diaphragm. The diaphragm's movement creates sound waves in the air. And all the while, that little spider keeps the whole thing perfectly stable, always ready for the very next vibration. It's really just a beautifully coordinated dance of physics.
So there you have it. All that incredible engineering packed into that tiny dime-sized speaker. It's a perfect example of a pretty simple concept brought to life through some really complex design. But this whole idea leaves us with one final, kind of fascinating question to chew on. If sound is just moving air particles, then what exactly is wind?